This is Max from Sigma Computing. In this video, I'm going to show you how anyone with basic spreadsheet skills can build out complex analyses and reports directly on their data warehouse, faster and more accurately than anyone could writing code by hand. Over the next few minutes, I'll show you how I built the charts you see here using Sigma. To get started, I'll create a new worksheet using a stock market dataset in my data warehouse. My goal is to determine the top 10 companies in the IT sector over the last year and build some charts pertaining to their performance. What you see here is a Sigma worksheet. From the worksheet, you can directly manipulate the data table and chart builder to build complex analyses and reports without writing any code. So let's get started. First, I want to go ahead and change the formatting of these two columns so that they're currency. And similarly, I want to change the formatting of this date so that it actually looks a little more like a readable date. And now that I've done this, you can see that we have the ticker for each of these stocks, but I want to get a little bit more information about them. So I'm going to go back to my data warehouse, and I'm going to do a join. And this join is going to look up the name and the sector for each of these tickers. You can see that Sigma already does a little bit of detection about what the best columns to match are. And if I click apply, you'll see that the name and sector came in just fine. So now that I have this sector, let's go ahead and apply a filter. I only want to, like I said, I only want to look at the companies in the IT sector, and so I can go ahead and apply that filter. You can see, yeah, there we go, information technology. And I also only want to look at stocks traded in the last year. So let's add another filter on the date. You can see here that we show you the distribution of dates and make it easy for you to go and specify the date range you want. In this case, I'm going back to November 1st, 2016. And so now that we have this all set up, let's get actually started with our analysis. So the first thing I want to do is I want to define a new metric called capital traded. And the capital traded is going to be defined as the closing price times the volume traded for that day. And when you type a formula like this in Sigma, you know, it's very similar to what you would do in Excel, but what we're actually doing under the covers is generating the code to run against your data warehouse so that you don't have to. We'll always do it correctly and we'll always do it efficiently. And so now that we have this new metric, let's start doing some aggregations. So I'm going to take the name and I'm going to go ahead and group by that. And what this will do is it'll take every day of trading and group it under the particular company's name. And now that we've done this grouping, I can go ahead and quickly create a summation. And so what this will do is for the last year, it'll sum up all of that capital traded and associate it with each of those companies. And now that I've done this first aggregation, I can go ahead and get some of the granular data out of there and just look at the aggregates. And so this is great, but I want to go ahead and rank these companies. So I'm going to say capital traded ranked. And doing something like a ranking in Sigma is very simple. You simply just have to type rank, and we can do capital traded sum. And we're going to go ahead and rank it descending so that the top companies appear at the top of the list. So now we can sort this, and you'll see Apple's up here at the top, followed by Facebook, NVIDIA, Microsoft, etc. Now that we've done this ranking, let's go ahead and apply yet another filter so that we can get down to our top 10. Uncheck the include null, and set the included ones from 1 to 10. And you'll see that our table has now shrunk to just the top 10 companies. Great. Now that we have this put together, I'm going to go ahead and build a chart. And so for this chart, it's as easy as working with the data table. You can simply take name and put it into the x-axis, and put it into color. You can take capital traded and put it into the y-axis. You'll see we already just figure out that you want the sum. And on top of this, we can change some of the visual presentation of our chart by sorting the individual bars descending based on the capital traded. And so in this way, you can see that our table and our chart have the same sort of visual appearance. You can see Apple is first, Facebook is second, etc. Now that we have this, let's go ahead and give it a chart. Let's say top 10 IT companies, capital traded. And there you go. We went from raw data to a chart very quickly. But we can do even more. And so, you know, you can see that there's a single group by here, but Sigma isn't just limited to doing single aggregations or single hierarchies. We can actually put another aggregation or another hierarchy in between. And so let's go ahead and take the weeks that make up this year. You can see October 31st, November 7th, etc. And let's go ahead and use this as our next hierarchy. So we can similarly go and click and drag, and we can create the sum of capital traded at the weekly level. Change this name. And this gives us a slightly more granular view that we could put onto another chart. However, if we were to put this directly onto a chart, what we would get might be a little choppy or might be a little bumpy. So let's go ahead and smooth it out. Doing something like this, which would be a moving average, let's say, is also very simple in Sigma. So we can say we want the moving average of the weekly sum, and we want the last 6 weeks. And there you go. Capital traded weekly moving average. Now that we have this put together, let's create another chart. So in this case, we want to put the date onto our x-axis, and we want to put the moving average onto our y-axis. And you can see that in this case, we're looking at the moving average for all of those top 10 companies. And so in order to break them apart, we can go ahead and put the name into color. And so now you can see that each of these individual lines corresponds to one of our top 10 companies that we computed earlier. You can see Apple up here at the top. You can see NVIDIA had some big gains in the latter part of the year, and et cetera. And now that we have this, let's go ahead and give it another title. So yeah, hopefully, this has given you a good sense of how we arrived at that dashboard I showed you at the beginning. We selected a table, we did a little bit of formatting and cleanup, we did some joins, we did some filtering, and then, very quickly we went from that to creating these rich analyses and creating these 2 charts. So yeah, if you're interested in learning more about what Sigma can do or how Sigma can help you more easily do your analysis, you can go to our website at www.sigmacomputing.com, or you can shoot us a message at hello@sigmacomputing.com. Thanks.